Now the story goes,
All right. Welcome to Readymade Fantasy Football, or as I like to call it, me and Mike talking about fantasy football for an hour on tape, right?
Oh, brother, it's the best time of the day,
I
baby.
know.
Anytime we get this show going. How you doing, Charlie?
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. Today has been such an eventful day in fantasy football, man. I have been on my you-know-what trying to make trades, man. I'm
Exactly,
just
man.
pumping, seeing what the team needs, looking at their strengths, looking at their weaknesses, looking at guys that maybe they are unappreciating a little bit. We could talk about a couple of those guys later on in the show. But, yeah, I pumped out at least 10, 15 trade offers last night, probably around 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, come on, brothers. Share the deets, man. What kind of trades we expecting over here, man? We got this content for the show.
I know. So, like I said, I go in, I look at every team, okay?
Mhm.
I look at some of the teams that aren't doing so great.
Right.
Look at some of the teams who basically, if they're out, if they lose this week, they're out. You know what I mean? And I look at who their first couple picks were.
Right.
Because no matter how crappy you are, you got a couple of picks in the first couple of rounds. And most likely, unless you were just so absolutely damn unlucky with injuries, you've got a couple of good guys floating around. Maybe you got Michael Thomas.
Mhm.
Maybe you got Aaron Rodgers. Maybe you got a guy like, I don't know, Derek Carr, maybe. Maybe somebody's got a guy like that.
Get it personal.
Quarterback
Get it
position.
personal. Don't go after my boy.
Did that one hit a little
He's
close to
slinging.
home?
Derek Carr, baby.
So I look at these teams, and I basically try to make them an offer they can't refuse. And listen, there are no absolutely 100% fair offers in fantasy football.
Absolutely.
Okay? Life isn't fair, if you haven't noticed, all right? But there's offers that could be appealing to the right person. For instance, if you were decimated with injuries, like I'll tell you a trade that I didn't make personally, but that went down in one of my other leagues. And I wouldn't say too many people were upset about it, but I guess you could kind of. But the guy gave Travis Fulgham,
Okay.
Teddy Bridgewater, and Darrell Henderson for Aaron Jones.
Honestly, not bad. I mean, especially
So-
with Darrell Henderson, that's more of a value play for me.
Would I have done the trade? I probably would have got excited and took Aaron Jones. But is it really a good trade, though? You know, for the guy who just lost Odell, who already lost Nick Chubb, I mean, this guy has been decimated by injuries. To him, it was a great trade. He gives up Aaron Jones. Not for nothing. You know, Darrell Henderson and Aaron Jones could be – I mean, okay, Aaron Jones is better than Darrell Henderson. But guess what? I bet you their numbers aren't that far apart. So right then, you know, you're like, wow, this is, you know, not the worst trade in the world. These guys could be almost – I mean, listen, could it be that Darrell Henderson finishes the year with better numbers than Aaron Jones? Sure. That could happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That could happen. So then you add Travis Fulgham in the mix, who he picked up off the scrap heap. He doesn't care about him, but is also going to be the top wide receiver on the Eagles, not only now, but moving forward. You think Alshon Jeffrey is going to take away from this guy? You're living in a dream world. You're living in a dream
He's back in
world.
2017, bro. That Alshon ain't there no more.
I mean, yeah, you know, it ain't happening. So you got a guy like Fulgham who gets traded, along with Henderson, and Teddy Bridgewater, who, say what you want, he's been really solid this year.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of reminds me of last year's Jacoby Brissett.
That's honestly a fair comparison for it, man, especially with the way he's been playing in Carolina. The offense has really benefited for him, and with Robbie Anderson, too.
I mean, if you think about it, they're both dink and dunk kind of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Then they both started off the years pretty strong, And we'll see what happens with Teddy Bridgewater. Brissett faded away a little, but I'll tell you, last year for me, he was solid. And I honestly, in my heart of hearts, thinks that he would have the Colts doing better than Rivers has the Colts doing right now.
Who, Teddy Bridgewater or Jacoby Brissett?
Brissett.
Oh, yeah,
Brissett.
definitely. I mean, like, I like that they got Phillip Rivers, but I honestly would have felt much more comfortable them riding out the year with Jacoby. He already knows the offense. I mean, the relationship between him and Rivers and Reich is there, but just the turnovers, man. I can't stand seeing Phillip Rivers having 2 picks a game, a fumble. Like, this Colts team's ready to win now, and they can't afford to have that kind of play affected by your quarterback. I mean, come on.
I mean, he looks like he's about 650 years old out there. I mean, the guy throws the ball with this shot put style, and he's just kind of flinging it. He's just kind of flinging it down there. If somebody can come up and make a grab, fine. What I do love about him is he loves my boy Travis Burton.
That's right.
I mean, this guy, 2 touchdowns the other day, and I'm looking how it all aligns. I'm like, look, they don't really have any great wide receivers. T.Y. Hilton's still solid, but, he's not the guy he used to be.
Yeah, he's definitely more of a wide receiver 3 in my eyes right now this season.
And, with the injury to Michael Pittman, Zach Pascal really not stepping up, Mo Ali Cox being down, it all kind of lines up in hindsight for, wow, Trey Burton is going to be a beast, Is it going to be that way when Pittman comes back and the next day, next week or so? I don't know. Probably, honestly. I almost feel sometimes that adding another weapon just, enables the defense to focus on someone else and maybe leave you a little bit more open. So, yeah, I like Burton. I'm starting him this week. He's going to be, he was a popular ad. And now, he's pretty unavailable. But, and I wish I would have even said this last week, I might have, we've discussed Gerald Everett, I believe.
Yes,
Gerald Everett is another guy who had another touchdown, And he's their athletic tight end. He's, Higbee was out. But even when Higbee's in, he's more athletic. That Higbee thing, unfortunately, down the stretch last year was a beautiful thing for a lot of people. Actually knocked me out of a Super Bowl, along with that Aaron, what's his face, run, Packers bastard, Aaron Jones run. But, yeah, that was another thing that knocked me out of it was those couple big games by Higbee. And what was crazy about it was so strange. I'm playing the guy who's got Higbee, right?
Yeah.
Earlier that season, earlier in the playoffs, right?
Right.
He drops Kittle.
What?
I'm like, this guy's an idiot. He dropped Kittle. I'm first on the waivers. I pick up Kittle. Now we both go through the Super Bowl. I get to the Super Bowl with his Kittle, but he's got
Tyler Higbee, Aaron Jones.
Tyler Higbee on a 100-game streak for like 5 games in a row. And you see kind of why. I mean, I still would have dropped Kittle if I was him, but it's almost funny. You could see why he said, wow, I guess I don't need Kittle. It was one of those stupid moves that just worked out so good for him. Like, drops the better player, then ends up playing the lesser player, and the lesser player performs twice as good as the guy he dropped. So, God bless him.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've kind of thought that this year, if there was a fair comparison, like I thought Tyler Higbee was a lot like Kenyon Drake. Again, both guys had a great second half of the season when they were able to perform, but the hype was a little bit too much for me. I bought in more for Tyler Higbee only because I thought the Rams would do a little bit better. Not that I didn't like Kenyon Drake, but it's just like I'm seeing him going running back 10, running back 8 even. Like, I would pump the brakes a little bit. I wanted to pump the brakes a little bit because I just thought I'm not I just didn't think he'd be able to perform that way. And now with the knee injury, I guess I kind of right, but it's unfortunate.
Well, the deal with Drake is I took him in one of my leagues. I had I think I had the 10th pick. I had the 12th pick in a 12-team league. So by the time it got to me, I ended up going with Mixon and Drake. Okay. In hindsight, I probably should have took Aaron Jones because he's a well-documented trolley killer. But I took and the logic was for Mixon, he's going to get volume. And my logic was for Drake was last year I was on Drake as a dollar, like before that trade. I had every single share of Drake because I had seen a couple really big games out of him, and I just had this like thing for him. You get this like affinity for certain players, right. So I had this thing for him. I pick him up, get him in almost every single league. Second half, rumors are going to trade him. I'm literally refreshing every 2 seconds, like trying to find this like trade where this guy's going to go. Finally goes to the Cardinals. I said, this is going to be great. A lot of people tell me, nah, not going to be good. It's not going to be good over there. It's not going to be good over there, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be good over there. Mm-hmm. So he ends up taking me to, a good far way. He helping me win 3 out of 5 of my leagues last year, Right. So I kind of owed him a little debt of gratitude, but I was thinking, maybe this was the turning point he needed. This was the guy that, had talent all this time and it was just misused. But then you have to say, well, why do no teams want to use him? Why are the Miami Dolphins not using this guy if he's so great, And this is what we end up with. But, if you handcuff your running backs and you have Chase Daniels, you're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
You're sitting prettier than you were with Drake because you handcuff your running back. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe – I'm not one of those guys who's like, you got to handcuff. Like, for instance, I wouldn't handcuff Saquon Barkley, with Wayne Goldman.
Oh, no, absolutely, man. No
because way. At the end of the day, Wayne Goldman, he's just a guy, He's not gonna be a world breaker. But I make sure I have Tony Pollard for Zeke. Not right now, particularly because Zeke has been so bad, and I don't need somebody else being as bad as Zeke has been. We can talk about that a little later, but a guy like Chase Daniels, you're damn sure I got him if I got Kenyon Drake. And you know what I did the other day in one of my leagues?
What?
I knew I had Kenyon Drake. A guy had the Nick Chubb injury. I say it like this. I'll give you Tyler Higbee.
Okay.
I'll give you Tyler Higbee. I'll give you Drake. Okay. So now you have a running back to start. Yeah. Guy's healthy at this time and everything. And I'll take Chubb. Same thing I did with you. I'll take Chubb, but I want Waller.
Ooh, okay.
So I end up with Waller, Chubb, and now Chase Daniels because Drake is out.
Dude, well done, man. That was a great deal.
That is, how you make a trade. You got to look at the people who are in bad situations. First thing you should be thinking about, somebody gets injured. First thing you should be thinking about is, how does this affect the rest of this team? Mm-hmm. Who's the next guy coming up? Is it going to be, and where are the target distribution going to be? Like, if this guy is out, who's going to get the uptick? And from there, if you're knowledgeable enough and you do enough research, you can say, wow, this is who's going to be this guy. This is where it's going to be. And you don't always get it, but I knew from the beginning that Chase Daniels was going to get some run on that team because of the game where he broke out against the Giants last year for 3 touchdowns.
Dude, yeah, that unbelievable. I mean, the thing for me is I don't mind trades too much, but like you said, the value for trying to where you feel is like like, again, trying to get a fair value trade is one of the hardest things to do because sometimes, again, you play Monday morning quarterback and you kick yourself for certain deals. So that's why I always like to go with a little bit of the waiver wire. And speaking of the waiver wire for this week, I found myself one of my leagues 1-5. It was horrible.
Oof.
Yeah,
Oof.
so I knew I needed to try to get something because who I'm playing against, this guy had Deshaun Watson that week, Stephon Diggs. I lost
Mr. Randy Watson.
Deshaun Watson. And then, of course, he had AJ Brown. So I'm really looking at this, and my lineup before the week, I had Matt Ryan, Robert Woods, David Montgomery, Mike Davis, who completely balled out, who failed to ball out this week, Darren Waller.
Mhm.
And in my flex, I went with TJ Hawkinson because I thought with the Falcons secondary. So now I also have Harrison Butker's the kicker and the Bears defense. So I'm trying to think for myself. I need to try to get some option for a wide receiver, but the problem is I had Mike Gallup, I had Laviska Shenault. I had to make a decision. I was either going to go with Shenault, Gallup, or check on the waivers. And who happened to be there? Pittsburgh Steelers receiver Deontay Johnson, who, thanks to those
Really?
touchdown catches, got 29 points. Even when he came out, secured the win. Now I'm 2-5. Thank God, man.
Dude,
that was a Hail Mary play that worked
man.
out so well for me.
First of all, who drops Deontay Johnson? What a fool. Like, that guy's obviously the number one. I understand he's a little banged up every single game, including last game. But, I mean, when the guy is in the game, the guy's your number one. I mean,
Bro,
that's
I'm
the
playing
guy
the scrubs.
Roethlisberger looks for. You know, that's the guy. Chase Claypool had one reception for -2 yards last week, okay? It's not panic time for him, but understand that when Deontay Johnson is in the game, that's the guy they're looking for, plain and simple. He's another one of those players that, you know, if he's playing, you play him because you don't know if he's going to be playing again. Like old school Will Fuller. Like, you know, Will Fuller, if he was in the lineup back in like last year or the year before, it's like you start that man, you know, because he'll get you 2 touchdowns and then be out for 3 more weeks and then be able to play 2 more games, have 2 touchdowns, and then be out another 5 weeks, you know? So Deontay Johnson's that guy. That's a beautiful thing, picking up a guy off like that waivers, man. I would love that. Love it. None of my waiver wires are ever looking like that. I'm picking up T. Higgins a while back, which worked out pretty good. But now I'm picking up Hollywood Higgins. So I'm picking up a Higgins on every couple of weeks. I got a new Higgins on my team.
Might as well call your team the Higgins trade, man. Especially if Rashad's able to make the most of this time with OBJ out, man. I mean, that's
getting Higgy with it.
Oh, get Higgy with it. I feel like a 90s party right there. And then another guy I even picked up for this week, especially Brandon Ayuk, because San Francisco's playing the Seahawks, baby. Seahawks give up points. Oh, man.
So I'm loving this waiver wire that you got going on. I was able to, like I said, sneak in, pick up Hollywood Higgins. Believe he's the longest tenured wide receiver on that team. I think either the same year as Jarvis, maybe the same year as Jarvis, but Jarvis is obviously going to be the one. But let me tell you something. I don't know if you watched that game.
Dude,
okay,
it was phenomenal. That touchdown
you're watching the game. The guy's 0 for 5 with a pick to start off. All of a sudden, OBJ goes down. You're like, this game is Dunsky. This team is trash. And what does he go, 25 for 25 with 2 tutties?
22 for 23, 290-something yards, and 5 touchdown passes, 3 in the fourth quarter. That's why I'll never doubt Mayfield. What's called 2? Well, 2 I know were to Harrison Bryant, which if you check our league, guess who picked him up on waivers?
I saw that.
Yeah.
And then
1 to Njoku, I think. And then 1 Higgins, and the 4th one, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that's my point. Higgins blew up. after Odell Beckham went out. He obviously plays the same role as Odell Beckham and is, for one game at least, doing a better job at it. So this could be a turning point for for the Brownies. I don't know. I hope so. I actually picked up Baker this week to pair with Teddy Bridgewater in our 2 QB league. Was trying to work out a trade that I thought was going to definitely go through.
Okay.
For the team that is absolutely trash is basically – so I offered him for Aaron Rodgers. I offered him Baker.
Okay.
I offered him Dwayne Harris. Okay.
Ooh, okay. Sneaky addition.
And I offered him Tevin Coleman, who could be back as early as this week, but definitely next week. Okay? This guy is starting, okay? Rex Burkhead. That's his starting running back. He's what week are we in now? I'm 2 and 5. So we're week 8. He's 1 and 7.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, here's the ultimate bailout. You're
literally throwing him a life raft, bro. He's got to grasp it at this point.
I'm like, you give me Rodgers. I'm going to go ahead, basically juice up your squad, give you some depth, give you a chance to win this week, because if you don't win this week, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, you're giving me the sales pitch. I mean, I got to do the job. I got to do the trade. I got to do the trade because you got me by the balls. I'm like, I don't got you by the balls. You got yourself by the balls. I think, like, you try to explain, and you have to sometimes, but it's like, look, Baker and Rodgers are going to be, like, they're just projection-wise. Baker's projected for 3 less points than Rodgers. Okay? Right. But then you take Rex Burkhead, who's projected for like 4, and you throw in Harris, who's projected for 11, okay? And then you got Tevin Coleman to at least maybe come in this week, but at least it gives you a chance. At least you got the guy on the Patriots, and you got Baker in a good matchup coming off a good game. I was even going to throw in one other player, but I just started thinking to myself, I'm like,
you'd be paying way too much.
What am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, you give and you give and you give,
Exactly, man. I mean, again, if I was him, I'd totally do it. Especially at 1 and 6. My God, you have little wiggle room for negotiate when you're that bad.
What's like the best, because I'm always active working out trades, and it's fun for me in a way. But I think back on some of the trades that got passed up, and I say to myself, oh, thank you, Jesus. Like, I offered him 2 weeks ago. I think it was – I forget which running back. Pretty decent running back.
Okay.
And Julio Jones for Mike Thomas.
And he said no?
He's like, no. I like Mike Thomas. I want Mike Thomas. So
you've got to be kidding me.
I know. Well, look, to be fair, Julio was banged up. His hamstring was hurting. Everybody was saying he's so old, he might not make it, blah, blah, blah. But so was fucking Michael Thomas.
Exactly, bro. And Mike Thomas is easy
to run hamstring. Right. So now, fast forward, and I'm looking back on this text stream with him, and I'm going, bro, you're being hesitant on this trade. You had if he would have had Julio Jones, and I think maybe Myles Gaskin or something like that 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks, he would not have this record.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, now Michael Thomas is going to play God knows when. Anybody who has Michael Thomas is basically almost eliminated. If you're not, then you really kicked ass on the rest of your draft. Okay. And I'm like, all right, now I'm going to give you 3 players for Aaron Rodgers. And it's like I'm twisting his arm. I'm like, all right. He's like, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to do it today. I'm like, all right, I'll leave it out there. I could take it or leave it. The only reason I'm even doing it is because I have guys coming back from IR.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's the only reason I even have, like, the luxury of doing this. And we'll see what happens. I mean, I could honestly be totally okay with streaming quarterbacks. Because in our league, you're only allowed to carry 2.
Yeah.
If you don't want to drop them, you just have to place another position other than a quarterback. I dropped Justin Herbert because I was so desperate for the points to try to get a win, and I still lost. But at the end of the day, I was in a position where I was 1-5. What are you going to do? You're going to go, I'm gonna wait and stash this guy. You got to win now, man.
Exactly, man.
And
like
not for
Herman was
nothing.
this, you play to win the game.
Right. And if I had to do it again, I would. Because, I picked up Dalton, who at the time, it's like, all right, this guy's a professional. This guy's coming into 3 really good wide receivers. His team shouldn't miss that much of a beat. Well, I was wrong. I was wrong. He was concussed. He was doing terribly, and then he got a concussion. So, really, that kicked my ass. But look, my point is this. This week I have Baker and Bridgewater. Baker's playing against Vegas. They give up tons of passing yardage. Bridgewater's playing against Atlanta. They give up tons of yardage. Did they do it last time you just played Atlanta 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever that was? No. That was a bad game for Bridgewater. And do you think I'm retarded for just leaving him in? Like, I'm expecting almost the exact same situation, but a different result.
I think for me, with the fact that CMC might be coming back,
He's not.
No, not this week. I'm saying for the future. I'm talking about long-term play. I think for this week, though, I think that Robbie Anderson's going to break out for a little bit. I'm thinking, for me, Robbie Anderson, maybe 85 yards, 1 touchdown pass for Teddy Bridgewater. 2 touchdown passes, 330 yards isn't out of the question for me. So I think it's good, especially with this Falcons secondary.
Remember we had a conversation about first-half players and second-half players?
Yeah.
I have a pretty strong feeling that Robbie Anderson is the first-half player and DJ Moore is the second-half player. I'm already starting to see the shift in who's getting the touchdowns, who's making the big plays. I think Robbie Anderson's solid. I think he'll continue to be solid. But for a guy who started off insanely, okay?
Yeah.
DJ Moore has been the guy, at least, and I'm a big DJ Moore owner, so that's why I know that, but he's been the guy picking up the pace and winning games, for me anyway. So.
Listen, I mean, if it's anything like we saw last week with Atlanta, I think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to find plenty of opportunities to find the end zone this week, especially in the fourth quarter.
What do you think about your boy Mike Davis this week? I mean he's if Christian McCaffrey plays, I'd be totally shocked. He's not going to play.
He's definitely not playing. I think for Mike Davis, he's going to bounce back. I'm trying to look at the last time. Yeah, dude, take a look at – this is a lot from the last time the Falcons played the Panthers this week. Mike Davis, 16 carries, 89 rushing yards, averaged about 6 yards per carry, 9 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown catch. Like,
there you go.
He went off against Atlanta.
Go.
That's the redemption game for him, baby. I got to play it, especially –
And that might be he might be like, hey, look, I'm going to leave you with something before CMC comes back because it's probably going to be in 2 weeks set. But listen, man, I'm telling you, I traded away Mike Davis. I traded you Mike Davis. And you know what? That was a fair trade. It worked out for both of us. It's, you needed what you needed. You're in first place right now. You would never have been in first place. If you
oh, no, absolutely. Dude, I'm
there's no way. There's literally no way. So, with that said and done, I'm like, okay, Mike Davis, I traded him fine, great. But I still think, I don't know why, man. I have this like feeling that like Christian McCaffrey's going to come back too early. It's not going to look right. He's going to kind of be like just not the same right away. And it's going to be a couple of weeks, and it's going to be more of like, wow, we're seeing a little bit more of Mike Davis than we kind of thought. But, Coach came out and said, hey, you're still going to see Mike Davis. Obviously, they want to ease Christian McCaffrey in. But, I think that even if Mike Davis is not the quote-unquote starter, I think at least this week and next week, this week definitely, but next week he's going to have a pretty decent-sized role too. And I wouldn't be totally surprised. I just keep thinking of Saquon Barkley last year.
Right. So
tell me what happened with Saquon Barkley last year, Mike.
After he tried to come back.
So start off. What did he get? It was a high ankle sprain. Right?
Yeah, it was a high ankle sprain. And then I'm trying to remember who then he got.
Doesn't C-Mac have a high ankle sprain? Yeah.
Yes, Chris McCaffrey also has a high ankle sprain too. And then that's one of the worst things. Then I think, didn't he come back? Was it week 8 or week 9 for
came back, looked like crap.
Yep.
Okay. And was never really the same. Got re-injured.
Yeah.
Okay. Never quite shook it off. Came into this season, played terribly, and got hurt again. So all these people who are just like, I'm trying to get Claypool for Mike Davis in one of my leagues right now.
Okay.
And he offered me the trade 2 weeks ago, and I said, no, it's not enough.
Dude.
I'm like, running backs are more valuable than wide receivers.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely.
I was like, it's not enough. And I knew my time was running out with Mike Davis, and I said, you know what, I'll play Mike Davis another week. I played hardball. He played hardball. The trade didn't go through. Another week passes. The first week it works out for him because Claypool does well, and Mike Davis didn't do so great, and I'm looking like the idiot. Next week, I'm in a big matchup, which is last week. We don't do the trade again. Now he's going to get this week. Now he's going to get last week, and he's going to get this week, but he doesn't realize that Mike Davis is going to play this week right now. So he thinks he's just getting 1 week, So he says no. He plays Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool gets nothing. Mike Davis gets me the 10 points I need to win my game. So now we're into another week, and I'm like, look, you got Deontay Johnson. You got Chase Claypool. I got Mike Davis. Right now, you get 1 more week with Mike Davis, then you get the insurance policy for the rest of the year. You have Deontay Johnson. You have Chase Claypool. You have Laviska Shenault. You have Julio Jones. You have Hollywood Brown. You have 6 wide receivers with Jalen Reagor coming off IR. And I'm like, dude, take Mike Davis for Chase Claypool. Meanwhile, he's played the wrong Steeler every week since he's had them both.
You didn't even get Chase Claypool that 4-touchdown game?
No. He was having him on the bench.
Dude.
He got 1 decent week with Claypool. The other time he played Claypool, he pooped the bed, and Deontay Johnson went off. And then he did the opposite. So I'm like, bro, get rid of the headache. It's this week. Oh, no, I can't. Mike Davis he's just a handcuff after this. I'm like, but he's your handcuff. And in the age of COVID and re-injuries, do you really want to go into the playoffs as the Christian McCaffrey owner with no Mike Davis? You better not drop Mike Davis after you done. If he goes on to, handcuff again, you better not drop him. You better just keep him. Because if C-Mac goes down again, you have a gold mine, a fresh rested guy in an amazing role, And maybe I shouldn't be telling you that because I'd love for you to drop him because God knows I'd scoop him up in a heartbeat. But honestly,
no way, man.
you
I'm taking the
don't want to
Mike Davis
be.
experience all year.
You got it. You got it. You just got to. And he knows how bad he needs Mike Davis. But he doesn't want to be looked at our league mates as, oh, you gave Charlie a piece he needed for nothing, and blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, you have 7 wide receivers, dude.
Exactly.
You're
Take the
handcuffing
hit
your wide
and let me
receiver.
help you.
Give me Chase Claypool. I'll give you Mike Davis now. I'll start Claypool this week. You start Mike Davis this week, and we part as friends. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to do it.
So simple.
And now he's offering me all this other stuff. He wants Swift. He wants Gibson. He wants yada, yada, yada. Taylor for Julio. I'm like, I don't want Julio Jones for Jonathan Taylor. I want my nice young running back with a strong offensive line who's learning and maturing every game. I don't want Julio Jones who's a hammy away from, being out. I'm good. So I really think the COVID argument kind of might have put him over the top a little bit with this trade, but we will see. I just got a trade offer from him not too long ago, and I'm sure it's not really great. So I'll look at that, but woof. He wants, too much.
Exactly.
And now I picked up Rashad Higgins, and I think Rashad Higgins is going to be good. And I got Tim Patrick, and I think Tim Patrick's pretty damn good. This is a league where I drafted running because, look, if I know people are, like, kind of cool with trading and stuff like that, I'm down to, like, diversify my squad a little bit more. You know what I mean? But if I'm in a league like this league where I'm the champ right now, and it is a cutthroat league where it's very, very, almost not for fun. Like, everybody really wants to win.
Yeah.
I have to draft running backs early and often because nobody is going to trade me shit.
Exactly.
I got 2 guys who will even entertain me. The rest of them have me, like, blacklisted. Like, they know that, I'm the champ. They don't want to do anything that might cause me to become the champ again. And they're going to be looking back, oh, it's because so-and-so traded him this guy. Like, nobody wants that on them. So they'll trade amongst themselves, but really not amongst me.
No honors among thieves, man. Let me tell you. But speaking of which, I got a similar problem with Horton wide receivers right now, especially with our league. I don't know. I mean, only because with Joe Mixon might missing time, I might have to entertain a trade for a running back because, again, outside of Mike Davis, I also got Joe Mixon. And then on the bench, Phillip Lindsay, who's in concussion protocol, Benny Snell Jr., still don't know why he's there, Brian Hill from the Falcons, and J.K. Dobbins. And now, of course, with my wide receivers, though, I got Calvin Ridley, bam. Tyler Lockett, double bam, 45 points this week, though, for our league. Let me beat Fat J. Shout out. Sorry, Fat J. Had to do it to you.
Hopefully we could have Fat J come on one day. That'd be fun.
Oh, dude, that would be so awesome.
I was looking at your team.
And then I also got Alan Lazard on IR. That's the thing. So I'm willing to wheel and deal, but it's just trying to get that right target right now.
So, I mean, you got Carson Wentz, okay? He's doing pretty good. He's going to have a bye week. But listen, right now,
coming back too.
You're 5-2.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting pretty. Now Mixon, he's day to day. Okay. Then you have Mike Davis, who has got another week or so. So, you're like, wow, I am. If Joe Mixon plays, you're good. If he doesn't play this week, you can get away with it. If he doesn't play in 2 weeks, Mike Davis isn't playing in 2 weeks, and you're starting currently Benny Snell, Brian Hill, or Dobbins, a lot could change in 2 weeks, but that's a little bit scary. Oh, you also have Phillip Lindsay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you got a little bit depth. You got Irv Smith. You got, Lazard will be coming back. Perriman's going to be a rough move. Slayton's a rough move. Marvin Jones. You got Harrison Bryant, which you like. So, if I was you, I mean, I'm not a big Calvin Ridley guy, mainly because I have Julio Jones.
Exactly.
Okay. And maybe, I can't even think of Tyler Lockett coming off a huge game. Very marketable piece right now for you. But, he's very streaky. And you've got a quarterback who could be a marketable piece for you right now. You got Carr and you got Wentz. So, I mean, you picked, so now you don't need a tight end anymore, which is good.
Yeah, now that I got Bryant. So if Higbee does come back healthy, I mean, I think I could convince.
I mean, Higbee's a drop almost. In our league, it's deep, so maybe you hold them, but I don't know. It's going to be an uphill battle. You're rostering a lot of tight ends right now.
I know. I wanted to hold out with Irv Smith only because I was just hoping for maybe one or two, at least one touchdown, 50-yard games to try to entice it a little bit more. But he has started to see his fair share of snaps in Minnesota now and starting to really take over. What's it called, as tight end with Kyle Rudolph? Sort of getting ready for free agency and stuff. So I mean, hopefully it works out. If not, I'm still going to try to explore some options. But right now, if I'm really willing to part with anybody, Tyler Lockett, definitely to sell high on him. I'm just trying to figure out who would be the best piece for running back, though. That's the tricky part.
I mean, yeah, Tyler Lockett. He's a marketable piece right now. And then Calvin Ridley. He's position ranked number 1, which I know, which is crazy.
Insane.
He's number 1, yes, so it's kind of like Julio Jones. I have Julio Jones. You have Calvin Ridley. I mean, would I rather have Calvin Ridley than Julio Jones, though? I don't really know. I don't really think so. I mean, maybe. I guess kind of. Tyler Lockett. So you have the number 1 and 2. Well, obviously that big game really helps him be number 1 and 2. I mean, Tyler, 200 yards, 45 points. That's huge. But the 2 games before that, he was 4 for 44 and 2 for 39. Then he had 900, 9 for 100, 7 for 67, and 8 for. So he only had 2, just whatever, okay games. Other than the great games.
Right.
So let's see if I would ever to, let's say we said Tyler Lockett, just for shits and giggles, right?
Yeah.
And I've got my team, Zeke, Swift, Jones, Boyd, Burton, Moore, Jonathan Taylor, Gaskin, Teddy Bridgewater, Marquise Brown, Zach Moss, who's Damian Harris. Now he's questionable. What happened to him? Ankle was limited to practice. That doesn't sound too crazy. Tanyan, Marcus Johnson from the Colts, who I picked up, and Rashard Higgins. Then I've got Tevin Coleman coming back. Nick Chubb is off. Goddard, Rager, and Coleman, they're all on my IR spot. So, I mean, if I wouldn't give up. I don't think I would be able to give up a guy who would be worth locking. I mean,
not even with Zeke's offensive line problems. I mean, they're gonna be living with third string QB. Yeah.
I mean, Zeke. Zeke is always my guy. I don't care. I'll drown with Zeke.
Y'all gotta eat, baby.
I have him. I'm holding him. I traded for him. I kind of want to see where that goes. The guy I would probably. I mean, this
I
is
see you
like,
got
to
Jonathan Taylor, though. That
me,
might
right?
be
And that's another guy
a
I would
little
have.
something.
You know, the only thing, and I think this
Come on,
would
Charlie.
be,
Help me to help you, brother.
I helped you last time. You're in first place, and
That is
we're
true.
gonna,
I got definitely help.
for the crowd at home. Just let's put one thing in perspective before we talk about this trade. This is the 5-2 Fitzmagic school bus, okay?
All
Which
aboard
is our
Fitzmagic
illustrious
Bus.
host here, trading with the 2 and 5 New York Outfits, and he needs help. So I would, I would almost say, my first gut, just to talk through this, my first gut reaction would be to say, maybe I'd give him Myles Gaskin and Hollywood Brown for Lockett. But then I think that's too much. To me, that's just a lot to give, because the same upside that Lockett could have on any given day, I mean, the air yardage for Marquise Brown that this guy has and end zone targets is ridiculous. He's
true.
so poised for a huge game,
And
that's
plus,
why I have him.
Gaskin should benefit a hell of a lot with Tua, although this week against the Rams, it's one of the worst ways to try to debut for him. Hey, here's Aaron Donald.
Myles Gaskin is solid, Now, I would think about giving you Marquise Brown, and this way you could look at that as, okay, well, Marquise Brown might be even to Tyler Lockett for the rest of the year, and he's throwing in another player because obviously Lockett for Marquise Brown is not fair right now. So, I mean, would I give up Damian Harris and Marquise Brown for Tyler Lockett? I probably would. I mean, would I give up Zach Moss? And all right, this is a question I'm asking myself, and I'll ask you, and try to take yourself out of it, okay?
Okay.
Who would you rather have? Forget Marquise Brown. Which running back would I rather have is what I'm asking myself. Would I rather have Zach Moss, or would I rather have Damian Harris? Because Damian Harris is playing on a team right now that really doesn't have many weapons.
Exactly.
And
a struggling Cam.
They've got to run the ball. I mean, they suck. I mean, Edelman looks terrible. Bird is the only one who's got some juice. He should not be a number one. N'Keal Harry couldn't get open if there was instructions. I mean, like, their team is trash, and this guy, honestly, is at least somewhat of a shining light. 17 carries for 100 yards week 1, fresh off his injury. Against a very tough Denver defense where they got behind, he was 6 for 19, which sucks. But then against a tough defense in San Fran, he went 10 for 58, which he's getting carries, 17, 6, and 10. He's playing Buffalo. Decent matchup, not horrible. They've given up. I mean, you saw what Edwards-Helaire did to them. Then he's got the Jets. He's got Baltimore. He's got Houston, which is a get-well game. Arizona, So, and you got to remember the games where you'd really want him. Chargers, okay, they can be tough. Rams, but then he's got Miami. Week 16 is your championship game. He's got Buffalo, and 17 he plays the Jets. So, not horrible. Zach Moss, though, I mean, Zach Moss looks like he's going to take over the role from Singletary.
Exactly.
Singletary looks like trash. I think Zach Moss is going to be the guy, and I have him in a lot of leagues, and he's kind of like this guy who I just envisioned at the beginning of the season, like running a touchdown in the snow in Buffalo. I just have this vision of him just like running this 60-plus yard touchdown where Singletary, just doesn't have the role. So who would you rather have?
I mean, dude, for me, I'd rather have Moss. I definitely.
You see, me too.
Exactly,
Me too.
man. I've been a fan of Zach Moss even back when he was at Utah in college, man. But I just didn't expect him to really get this much attention so soon, and especially when you take a look at the schedule, too. I mean, after New England, they also play Seattle, then they got Arizona. But for me, what I'm looking at it, for Broncos in Week 15 and even New England, at New England, it's going to be a tough matchup, but I think that the way he's getting is sharing carries now, especially after a season high 47 against the Jets. I think they're only going to build on it. I really think Zach Moss is the play.
So, all right, how about if you had to choose between Tevin Coleman, Zach Moss, and Damian Harris, who would you want?
Coleman. I'll listen. If we were really discussing a trade right now, how would you feel about for Tyler Lockett for Coleman? And I mean, I'll even take the L. I'll even take Marcus Johnson off your hand. Marcus Johnson off your hands for you. If that's a fair enough compensation for you. Again, we got to work with each other.
Marcus Johnson. Yeah, I mean, well, let me tell you something. I like Marcus Johnson. And I'll tell you why that would not be half bad for me is because – I like him. He's got a good matchup this week too. Is because I have Burton.
True.
And, I'm not going to ever start Burton and Johnson in the same offense in the same week.
Exactly, man.
I'll do that trade.
All right. We got another move.
I'll do that trade. Coleman and Johnson for Lockett. I'll do that trade. Because, up front with you, I've got Goddard coming back next week.
Exactly.
Okay? So now Goddard's back. I need a bench spot for him. Then I've got Chubb coming back week 10. So now I need a bench spot for Chubb and Goddard. Okay? Coleman now would have been coming back. I would have needed a bench spot for him. So now you'll take him. Fine. And then I got Jalen Reagor, who I can afford to wait on, who I don't know. I would rather have Marcus Johnson than Jalen Reagor, honestly, me.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man.
But I could wait and then see kind of what happens. So looks like we got ourselves a deal, man. Looks like we got ourselves a deal on the show, pulling off a deal. Tell us what you think if anybody watches it ever. Marcus Johnson and Coleman, who's going to be the number one on a
absolutely, man.
Especially
with Mostert's ankle injury too.
Oh, is he a world beater? No. Is he above Jermichael Hasty, Jeff Wilson,
Definitely.
who's on IR, and who else is even over there?
Yeah, Jarek McKinnon.
He is. He's above all those guys.
Yeah.
And that's what you need right now, man. That's what you need right now. You need an ass in the seat, man. You need that. So, I will propose this trade. Let's find it. The Fitzmagic 5-2. This is so now. Let's see what you're. So if Mixon doesn't play and Coleman doesn't, you see, here's the thing though.
I'm shooting myself in the foot for this week.
Let's say Mixon doesn't play, and Lindsey doesn't play. Okay, and you've got to start Brian Hill one game.
Oh yeah, that's true.
All right, all right, fine.
Well then,
You're not going to start. So even if you have to do that, because you're still going to have Mike Davis. So let's say you play Mike Davis and Brian Hill for 1 week at 5-2, okay? Then next week, Mixon's back. What's his name is back?
Lazard?
Coleman's definitely back.
Yeah.
Lindsey is back. Okay? Now you're in good shape. And you picked up Marcus Johnson, who, not for nothing, I'd start Marcus Johnson over Perriman, over Slayton, over Jones, over, all of those guys. And the guys you have on your bench. Over Higbee, over Ito Smith, over Benny Smith. Yeah, so. And then eventually you get Lazard back. At 5-2, man, you could do these things.
I'm sitting pretty, baby. Sitting pretty.
Wow. Here we go. 2 for 1.
Let's do this. Oh, my God. I'm so excited.
Yeah, man, that's not bad. I mean, you know what kind of is like a little rough is like the best of Tyler Lockett is behind him. You're like, he'll still be, whatever. But you're benefiting off the fact that I gotta make moves, man.
Exactly, man. Listen, we're in the dog days of the season. This is where contenders really come out this time.
And it has been sent to the Fitzmagic school bus. That's a beautiful thing. I'm hoping that now this totally throws a kink in my other trade because now that other trade, well, he was getting Tevin Coleman too, so he just lost him. Oops, sorry for him. But there's always another trade to be had. There's always another trade to be had. There's always another trade to be had. Awesome.
Right. Pleasure doing business with you, my man. And Charlie, I think this is a good time for some fan questions. And I got 2 from my buddy James Hoyle. And the first question is, now in his running back league, he's looking for a running back 2, and he has 2 options right now. So either Darrell Henderson or Melvin Gordon. I want to hear from you first, and then maybe I'll respond if need be. So for a running back 2, Broncos, Melvin Gordon, or Darrell Henderson of the Los Angeles Rams for this week?
So Melvin Gordon, okay, playing against pretty decent Chargers defense. Here's the thing, though. Lindsey's not going to play. He's concussed.
Exactly.
Okay? So workload for Melvin Gordon. Okay? And who is he thinking about?
Darrell Henderson for the Rams.
Yeah,
and
listen.
Playing the Dolphins this week.
I'm going to have to go with Melvin Gordon. And the reason why is he's just going to get the volume. I kind of think that Henderson is little quicker, got a little bit more Zeus to him, a little bit tougher to tackle, faster. I think he's underrated this year, man.
Definitely.
He's underrated. Everybody's so concerned with, oh, man, is it going to be Malcolm Brown? Is it going to be Henderson? Is it going to be Akers? Oh, it's such a headache. It's such a nightmare. I got news for you. Very simple. It's been simple for a while. The first game was Malcolm Brown for whatever reason. Preparation, God only knows. He's good in pass protection. They were down. It's always Henderson. He's their guy. If they get behind and they need a good pass protector, Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown's going to get some spell. Cam Akers isn't sniffing the ball, okay? The only reason why I'm saying Melvin Gordon is because Philip Lindsay is out. That's it. If you had talked to me on another day, I would say I would go with Henderson because just the guy is he looks good, man. He just looks good. He's just fast and he's got some like I said, man, he's good. But I'm gonna have to go. Like I said, volume equals points, and Melvin Gordon should have a lot of volume this week.
Dude, literally couldn't have said it any better myself. I mean, for a second, I was thinking about Henderson, but after the Lindsey concussion, they are going to try to get that workload for Melvin Gordon this week, especially with the way Drew Lock looked against the what's called Chiefs defense. I think they're really going to try to get a little bit boosted confidence. So I think they're going to be running the ball a lot and then trying to maybe throw in some play action in there. But if they're going to be riding Melvin Gordon all this game, just again, I think that the Dolphins represent a better matchup for Henderson, but I think, again, as you said, workload's going to get it benefit Melvin Gordon a lot. All right, and now the second question.
I'm gonna throw one little caveat in.
Go ahead.
If Philip Lindsay plays, it's Henderson.
Oh, yeah.
Philip Lindsay clears concussion protocol, it's Henderson. 100%. What was the next one?
So the next one is he's got to choose between two wide receivers. He's got 4 options. Now I'm going to throw them your way.
2 wide receivers. He's got 4 options.
Again, but and so it's Deontay Johnson, who's playing against Baltimore, and then who's still questionable. DJ Moore against the Falcons. Cooper Kupp against the Dolphins Rams are playing the Dolphins. Fulgham, who's playing against Dallas this week, and T. Higgins against the Tennessee Titans.
Moore and Fulgham.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, for me, I definitely agree with DJ Moore. If Deontay Johnson is healthy, I would entertain it, but for
Deontay Johnson is okay. Is he going to be healthy? Fine, go on. All right.
But for me, I think I would go with Moore and Kupp because I think that Xavier Howard's going to be all over Robert Woods like white on rice. And depending on what they're going to do in the red zone, I think Cooper Kupp could find himself working the middle of the field, getting some yardage chances. Touchdowns might be risky bet for him, but I think it could benefit Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I like Cooper Kupp. Honestly, the way I feel about the Rams is they go in these kind of like spurts. This guy's the guy for a couple weeks. This guy's the guy for a couple weeks. Right now, we're in the middle of a Gerald Everett spurt.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not in love with Cooper Kupp right now just due to the fact that there's, a fair amount of mouths to feed over there. I like Deontay Johnson. The thing that scares me about Deontay Johnson, and I said it earlier, listen, if he's playing, you play him. Okay? I guess I'd play Deontay Johnson over Travis Fulgham. All right? If he's playing. Honestly, though, I really don't want to play Deontay Johnson this week. And I don't want to play him because he's banged up. He's been banged up. He always gets banged up. And the main thing is he's coming off a big game. And I just don't see him coming out after he got banged up, left in the fourth quarter, coming out and having another 2-touchdown game. I mean, how often are guys just blow the roof off week after week after week? It ain't happening. So I want to go with DJ Moore because I got a good feeling about this Atlanta game. It's a nationally televised game, and DJ Moore's been blowing the hell up. I'm going to sit Deontay Johnson because I think it's a Chase Claypool week. Okay? And I'm going to play Fulgham because I got news for you. Guy's underrated.
Definitely.
Underrated as hell. And he's solid. Targets. Wentz looks to him. I'm telling you, man, I think I fell asleep at the wheel not picking this guy up. I think I was asleep at the wheel not picking this guy up.
I think you and everybody else fell asleep on Fulgham, man. My only thing was I didn't know if Goddard was going to play this week, so I told him Moore and Kupp, but only because I didn't know if Dallas Goedert was going to be eligible to play.
Yeah, he's not playing.
Coming back, I thought that, again, they're finally starting to get that wide receiver core.
Let me tell you something. Rager comes back. Jeffrey comes back. Goddard comes back. Everybody comes back. Fulgham's still the guy. Really? That's it. He's the guy. He is the guy. Watch him play football. He's the guy. Trust me.
I'll take your word for it, man. I got to definitely look at some of his highlights.
And I am loving having a guy like him and a fresh Dallas Goedert down the middle of that field
It's gonna be beautiful.
with Fulgham and Wentz, who wants it as bad as I've ever seen him on it. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely I'm loving it. I forgot that when we were traded, I was supposed to try to get a quarterback, but we always have another week to do that. Right now, I'm sure we'll both sit pretty. You're going to have a bye week coming up with Wentz, and that's going to be. Luckily for you, you'll be able to hopefully withstand that because you'll be up on the wins. But you're going to have to either drop Wentz, which I doubt you're going to do. You're not going to have
No way.
You're just going to have to play another guy in his place for 1 week and hope you win with one quarterback.
I know, I'm trying, man. I tried to add Baker Mayfield a few weeks back, but I forgot that you also have to drop a quarterback too, and I wasn't gonna drop Carr either, especially after that game against the Chiefs. So I'm really kind of panicking on what my options are gonna be for QB, but that's future Mike's problems. So
yeah, exactly. You worry about that when you get to it. Yeah, you're doing good. I'm like living on the edge every week at 2-5, and I know. I'll tell you, I'm playing my girlfriend's brother this week, and positive regression because I've been so unlucky. At 2-5, when you're as in tune with it as I am, when you're 2-5, you're getting unlucky. But he is in a horrible situation. Both of his quarterbacks are on buys.
Oof.
So he's got Gardner Minshew and Murray on a bye. So I'm sure he just dropped Minshew because he's not going to drop Murray. He's probably dropping Minshew, picking up somebody else, and then just going, he's like, shit, if I end up at 4-4, I end up at 4-4. I'm not going to drop, Kyler Murray. But he's playing against me, and let me tell you something, man. If Zeke was being Zeke, my team would just be like kicking tail. But
totally.
Woof! It is. It's been a little bit of a rough go. But hey, Coleman, man, this guy, I don't know what he's gonna do, but that offense, that running, and man, he could have some big games, man. If Jeff Wilson could score 3 touchdowns, dude. Tevin Coleman, fresh off how many weeks rest? That's the thing I love. These guys coming back fresh in a good system with all the other guys hurt. It's like, come on. I love that, I love it. So that worked out pretty good. Do you have any other questions coming in?
Nope, that's it for now, unfortunately.
Good. Yeah, it's all good. We'll see how we can track those two. Let's track those and see how we did last week. We had a couple good calls last week. It's with the Arizona-Seattle game, so that was fun.
Definitely, man, dude. Good call on mentioning Christian Kirk too. I
was
not expecting to have 2 touchdowns last week.
Yeah. I figured. I don't know, man. He's like that guy who's just like. He reminds me of Nelson Aguilar, like on this little run that Nelson Aguilar went on in like the end of maybe 2 years ago with the Eagles, where he just kind of like had a touchdown every game, like he just all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's him again. He's got a touchdown, and no, not for nothing, he's being that guy once again. I mean, have you seen how good this guy looks? He's catching a touchdown for the Raiders like every week.
Dude, what was it? Carr had like a 30-some yard touchdown pass against the Bucs with him this week. Like, he's been getting that production. I personally like it, but I will miss the Nelson Aguilar memes, especially with the guy like, listen, man, we would have caught it unlike Aguilar. Like that's
those are good. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds great. We got a game coming up tomorrow. Hopefully, we could. Get another show in tomorrow and start talking about some of the games that we have coming up this week. Me and you pulled off a pretty big trade. Wondering, you get these people, man, and they look at these trades and they're like, I don't like that trade. I mean, nobody's ever going to like a trade that's going down in your league,
definitely.
I'm playing the guy who's trained for Aaron Jones. I'm like, you bastard. You're getting Aaron Jones to play the Charlie killer you brought in this week just to play me when I'm playing him for first place, you know? But you got to look at the person's situation and say, wow, you know, that's a good trade for you. It's a good trade for me. You know, I get the upside. But, like, I don't even know who to – I mean, I'll find somebody to bench, but there's nobody I'm dying to bench for Tyler Lockett coming off a game like that. Definitely. Honestly, there's not. You know, he's probably – I don't even want to jinx it, but he's probably going to have, like, 2 for 46. You know what I mean? Like, and DK Metcalf is going to be, like, a beast. You
like
know what
150
I mean?
yards, 4 touchdown catches.
A beast. Yeah, that'll be the tail of next week. You could save that soundbite. So, all right, sounds good. We got a lot of info out there. We're ready to wrap this up, or what else we got?
Well, I was thinking, you know, we take a little bit of a rundown for this week's games, and then in the spirit of the trade deadline, why don't we give these fans a little something to look forward to? One trade, well, not the whole trade you don't have to do, but just one player who you think is going to benefit from a trade at the trade deadline and for fantasy purposes. What do you say? You want to do it?
Love it. Let's go.
All right, let's get it started. So speaking of games, this Thursday we got a pure definition of mediocrity Thursday night football with the 1-6 Atlanta Falcons taking on the 3-4 Panthers in Carolina. I got the Panthers in this one. I'm expecting my boy Mike Davis to have a big bounce back game. I'm going 50 rushing yards, maybe 43 receiving yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Charlie?
I'm going to go on the opposite end of that. I'm going to go with Atlanta to go into Carolina, win this game. And I know Atlanta has just been a horror show. But everybody's seemingly healthy. Julio's playing. Your boy Calvin Ridley's playing. Gurley, Hill. I think Gurley probably end up with a touchdown because he kind of always does. I think Julio Jones has a pretty decent game. Calvin Ridley has an okay game, but still a solid game. And I like Hayden Hurst to get into the end zone this week.
Good call.
Honestly, it's been a while.
Ryan loves his tight ends, though.
I could see Hayden Hurst getting in the end zone definitely this week. But because of that and because of that production, I think it's going to be a game 32-34. This game's going to be in the 60s, and I think that shockingly enough, the Falcons are going to come out victorious.
Man, listen,
they're a better team than their record.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. I still love the Falcons earlier this year. I was just so disappointed with how the secondary looked and how Matt Ryan had that stretch of poor games that year. Anyway, now we go for Sunday's action. AFC matchup, the New England Patriots taking on the Buffalo Bills. I think for this one, I'm going to go with Buffalo. I think it's going to be a close game, though. Like, I don't think anything more than, 30 points. Josh Allen looked out of sorts against the Jets. I'm still surprised they were able to beat him with only field goals. But, again, it's the Jets, so what do you expect? So, for me, I think Josh Allen, 300 or so passing yards, maybe 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown, 1 pick. And I'm going Buffalo 21-14.
I like Buffalo to win. I think it's going to be one of these 16-10 type of games.
Yeah.
Kind of going to be kind of a grinder. I like Zach Moss to get probably about 55% of the carries, but really look good and really kind of set himself aside from Singletary. I like him to have a touchdown in the game, okay? I'm not going to call any other touchdowns. I like Zach Moss to have a touchdown tomorrow on Sunday. But I think it's going to be a low-scoring, kind of grinded-out game. and 16-10, couple field goals, nothing spectacular, and Zach Morse gets a touchdown.
All right, sounds good. And now we also have the Tennessee Titans coming off their first loss of the season in a tight game against the Patriots. Now they take on the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, I think that Ryan Tannehill is going to go off. I think he wants to try to get that loss out of everybody's memory. I expect a high-scoring affair, though. I'm going 42-21 Tennessee, and I got A.J. Brown. No, not A.J. Brown. What am I trying to say? I think Derrick Henry is going to probably get at least 100 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns.
3?
Yeah. They're going to want to run it up the middle, especially with Carlos Dunlap now traded to the Seahawks. The defense just took another hit, and they're going to want Mike Vrabel's going to want to go for the kill.
I think 3 is a tall order. I like obviously the normal Henry experience. 100 yards and a touchdown. I think this is going to be pretty close game. I think it's going to be like 28-25, something in that range. I like Joe Burrow to have a couple touchdowns. I think they're going to really lean on the pass. I think that Giovanni Bernard's going to be very active, catching passes out of the backfield. I think he's going to rush for a whole heck of a lot of yards. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little of one of their other running backs kind of come in and take over a little bit of the work if Mixon doesn't play. But I see Burrow with a couple of touchdowns. I see it being a pretty close game. Grind it out. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take this is a difficult choice. I would love to pick this, but
over Titans,
I'm going to take the Titans. Because I think this guy AJ Brown is like just such an absolute beast. I mean, geez, man, he's slow and cumbersome, but damn, can this guy like just score, get open, physical? I mean, the guy's a beast.
All right, and then we also got John Gruden and the Raiders heading up to Cleveland to take on the 5-2 Browns without OBJ. I got Cleveland winning this one. I want Derek Carr to do well, but it's going to be a tough order with going up against Myles Gaskin. I mean, not Myles Gaskin, Myles Garrett. Thank you. And I think for me, I got to go with Rashad Higgins for the big guy today. I think 75 yards, maybe a touchdown catch. And I got the Browns 28-14.
I'm going to yeah, I mean, you got the Browns over
the Raiders.
Yeah,
Raiders.
This is going to be a tough game. Who's going to capital? Yeah, Jacobs is a little banged up now. I hear you got Aguilar looking good. Carr's looking okay. This is a tough call. I think I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with the Raiders on this game. I think they're going to bounce back from last week. I think last week was a closer game than it turned out to be against Tampa. It's pretty close all the way through, and I think Tampa's a really good team. So I could see the Raiders winning this game. I think Waller gets another touchdown. This guy's like really good.
Benefit a lot from at least one Darren Waller touchdown this week. And now we got Indianapolis off their bye week. They're heading to Detroit to face the Lions. This is going to be tough for me. Honestly, I think this game's going to be closer than people think. I really like what Detroit's been able to do the past 2 games, especially with establishing the run with DeAndre Swift. Honestly, I picked the Lions pulling off the upset. I think Matt Stafford, I mean, he's going to have at least a pick, but I think for him, just under 300 yards, like 285, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 to TJ Hawkinson for a bonus. And I got Detroit winning 28-17.
Yeah, I think Detroit's going to lose this game. I I think Indy's just a little too good for them. I think we're going to have a pretty decent game out of both rookie running backs. I like Jonathan Taylor to have a good game, get in a touchdown. I think Swift is going to have a little bit tougher time getting a touchdown. They're still using Adrian Peterson way too much because they're a bunch of idiots over there. But I think he's going to have somewhat of a decent game. Probably something like along the line of maybe like 9 for 63, which isn't great, but you'll kind of take it. A couple catches in a PPR league. I think he'll come out of the backfield with a couple catches. So I like Indy to win. I like Swift to do okay. I like Galloway to get a touchdown. He usually does. Kenny Galladay always kind of finds a way in the end zone. And my boy Burton, man, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a touchdown either. So I like a pretty high scoring affair on this. I think it's going to be, early 60s, late 50s scoring. And I'm going to go with the Colts.
Nice. And sticking with the NFC North, we got the 1-5 Minnesota Vikings up against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, for this one, it's no contest. I'm definitely going with Green Bay. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, especially with the Vikings losing Yannick Ngakoue from their defense. So for this one, again, Devontae Adams, 9 for 85. I don't think he's going to find the end zone, but I still think it's going to be a pretty productive game for him. Packers, 35-7.
Yeah, I like the Packers in this one as well. I feel like Adams will have a good game. I hope Aaron Jones gets shut the F down. Okay,
baby.
Shut that man down. But, yeah, I think the Packers are in a pretty smash spot against Minnesota. So it is going to be a kind of a rout, I think. But I think Jefferson, my boy, is going to get some quality yardage. So that'll be good. Let's see what happens. What other games we got?
Well,
I think we should do half tonight and half if we do tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. So we'll finish it off with a revenge game that everybody's got on their mind. Kansas City 6-1. Le'Veon Bell gets his vengeance against Adam Gase and the New York Jets. I mean,
so we had a question. This is a perfect way to leave it. We had a question from Mr. Graz, and he wanted to know on the comment stream if he should take the 21.5 points that the Jets are getting over KC.
Wow. Definitely. I think you got to take the under right now. I can't see them.
I mean, they're not. You think they're going to beat them by 22 points? Like, you want to bet that they're going to beat them by 22 points?
Because here's the thing. This is the thing. I think that Kansas City is going to at least lead by 30 by the third quarter rolls around. We saw last week Chase Daniel was able to see some action. I think they're going to try to get some garbage time. Maybe if they're lucky, they could find the end zone at least once or twice, but no, wait. Honestly, yeah. Strike that. I'm an idiot. Go with the over 22. Jets this is going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm going to tell them I don't think so. I think it's too many points. I don't want to bet that a team's going to beat somebody by 22 points. Like, okay, let's say Michael P. Ryan's running the ball decently and they're sucking up some clock. Let's say they're like, hey, let's run the ball a bit. Maybe the weather's not great. I mean, not for nothing. They ran the ball the other day against Denver like it was going out of style. The guy had like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire had friggin' a ton. So, I don't know, 22 points. Do I think they're going to do it? Yeah. Would I bet that they're going to do it? No.
Over under 75 rushing yards for Le'Veon Bell.
Under.
Dude.
Under.
He is going to
50 yards. How about ask me for 50 yards? Over, under.
All right, fine. Over under 50 yards.
Under.
You're telling me he is going to allow anything less than 60 yards? He'll pull a Tanya Harding on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't care. He's going to want to make sure he finds the end zone all day. He's going to look right at Gase. It's just like, this could have been you. This could have been you, but you were selfish.
Under. I like the under. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the guy. I think Le'Veon comes in and spells him. And I think that he finishes with 7 carries for like 36 yards.
Listen.
Sounds pretty accurate to me.
I'm going 8 carries, 85 rushing yards, maybe 15 receiving yards, and a touchdown catch just in case. Because he's gonna try to coerce Packers. It's just like, listen, man, I got to get in there at least once. Like, I don't care what it is, how much time is left. Just throw something up there for me so I can show him I also can catch the ball too.
Okay, well, we got one more question from the audience at home. And this one, again, is from Beth Page. Beth Page's Best, okay? For those of you who don't know what that is, the Beth Page Awards, okay? It's the exact. The Beth Page Awards, the best of Long Island.
The best.
Vote now, okay? For us Long Island New Yorkers, we all know this best of Beth Page is a little plaque you get. It's competition. It's online. You get to vote for your favorite restaurant, your favorite entertainer. There's ridiculous amount of categories in here. Myself and Michael were lucky enough to have been featured on one of these programs. So I think we're going to ask a stardom sit-em question, and we'll do it based on the podcasts that are available on this thing. Comedians from Long Island. Neither one of us made that list.
Rob.
But
not so much.
It was a travesty. Horseback riding facilities, local TV reporters, local TVs, mascots, movie theaters, museums, all of these things, parties and entertainers. Okay, so this is the ultimate stardom sit-em question.
Okay. Lay it on me, brother.
You have to pick 3 out of 5 of these podcasts.
Okay.
You got Taekwondo Life Magazine podcast.
Okay.
The Grindhouse Radio podcast, which I was lucky enough to meet one of the gentlemen who run that podcast. The, I believe WW stands for Weight Watchers Bro podcast with Anthony Domenico.
Okay.
Or Don't Feed the Geeks is the 4th choice. And Limo Talk with Graz.
This is gonna be tough.
You can choose. It just went down. You only get to choose one.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the choice is obvious. You have to.
The Weight Watchers Bro podcast with Anthony Domenico, right?
Boom, baby. Of course you're going to go with that one, man.
I mean, seriously, the rest of these just seem like limo talk. What is that even about? Is that like...
Yeah, I mean, it's some guy, I guess, some bald dude with glasses comes on.
Like, who talks about limos? That seems like the dumbest thing to ever talk about.
Yeah, not only that,
Limo talk.
Apparently there's a guy who looks like Keith Hernandez there. I mean, like, after he had beer goggles, maybe, but, like, barely, kind of, you know?
Right. Like a Bizarro World one. Like not a real Keith Hernandez type, you know?
You know, like, it's like the Walmart version of Keith Hernandez. You know, it's like, oh, it's the $1.99 bin.
Yeah, no, it is. And then you got the other guy, Graz, with that like, Hey, he's following at home. Somebody just asked a question. So and then who else is on the show? God only knows anymore. I know we are. But you know what? Honestly, man, I gotta tell you, I think I'm gonna go with Tea Time with Teresa because I don't know how many votes that she's got, but you know, I think she's probably got the strongest guests. But in all seriousness, obviously, we're voting for Limo Talk with
absolutely. Listen, we both owe Graz a huge favor for always keeping us on the show. It's one of the funnest podcasts I've ever been on. It's one of the best podcasts on Govs Radio, hands down. And it's a guy who just every week goes out there, gives the fans what he wants, baby. Graz, you're the man. You're going to win this. I know it.
So you go to bestoflongislandpress.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you go through all the categories, and you could vote once a day. You scroll down till your thumb loses 5 pounds, and you finally get to the podcast section. You pass by all the other, you know, rubbish podcasts. Some of them are actually really good, honestly. Some of them are really good. And you get down to the one that says Limo Talk with Graz, which, again, God knows why people want to talk about limo so much. But anyway, and you just vote, and it says you've been logged in, your vote is counted, and you could now be a part of the losing effort that Graz is putting out to be the best podcast. Like, you could be one of the people who voted and lost to the Weight Watchers Pro podcast with Anthony Domenico.
And the best thing is for everybody out there, this voting goes on until December 15th. So set a reminder in your phone every day. It's like, I guess I got to vote now.
Plenty of time to vote for Graz, vote for the rest of the guys over there. Don't vote for anyone else. He didn't ask us to tell you to vote for anyone else. So we're just going to stick to having you vote for Graz. So God bless. We'll have him get your votes in. I know our 4 viewers will definitely pop on to Bethpage and rock out with the Graz like. So you're welcome. You're welcome. And hopefully we will be back tomorrow before the game. We got a pretty decent game tomorrow, I think. You're taking Carolina. I'm taking Carolina.
No, I'm taking Carolina.
You're taking Carolina.
You're going with Hot Atlanta, baby.
Right. I'm taking the Falcons, and
the play is play. Hot Atlanta.
It'll be a fun. By tomorrow, our trade will be complete. Pleasure doing business with you. And for everyone who popped on YouTube to check us out, listen to 2 guys just bullshit about fantasy football for a couple hours, make a couple trades, complain, have a couple beers, you know. Join us, man. One day we'll be on Facebook Live, and you could even call in, and we could give you bad advice on what to do. So it's be fun for everyone.
Help, baby. Again, the water's just fine. Just come on in.
Come on in.
We're at the party.
We love you. We love you over here. So, on behalf of myself and Mr. Michael Zimmelman, this has been the Readymade Fantasy Podcast, and we will see you tomorrow.
Later, folks.
Good day.